The headaches started 3 months before Ryan's medical school graduation party. Sharp, stabbing pain behind my left eye, accompanied by nausea so severe I could barely stand. When I mentioned it to Mom during one of her endless planning sessions, she barely looked up from her color-coded spreadsheets. "It's stress, Sarah. You're probably anxious about your brother's success. Try some yoga." Dad was even more dismissive when I brought it up during dinner. "Headaches are psychosomatic 90% of the time. You need to toughen up, kiddo. Life's going to throw a lot worse at you than a little head pain." This from a man who insisted on prescription-strength painkillers for his golf-related back soreness. But I knew something was wrong. The pain was getting worse, accompanied by vision changes and moments of confusion that scared me more than I wanted to admit. At 28, I'd built a successful consulting practice helping hospitals optimize their medical imaging departments. I understood enough about neurological symptoms to know when something required professional attention. "I think I need an MRI," I told them 6 weeks before Ryan's party. Mom actually laughed. "Sarah, honey, an MRI costs $3,000. Do you know what $3,000 could buy for Ryan's celebration? We're expecting 200 guests, including the entire medical school faculty." "It's not about the money." "Everything is about money," Dad interrupted. "And right now, every dollar we have is going toward properly celebrating your brother's achievement. He's the first doctor in the family. This is a milestone that deserves recognition." "What if it's something serious?" I pressed. Dad's expression hardened. "Sarah, you've always been dramatic about medical issues. Remember when you insisted you had appendicitis in high school? It was gas. Remember when you thought you had pneumonia? Allergies. This is the same pattern. You get anxious about something important happening for Ryan, and suddenly you develop mysterious symptoms." The accusation stung because it contained a grain of distorted truth. I had been a hypochondriac as a teenager, probably because it was the only way to get medical attention in a house where Ryan's athletic achievements and academic success consumed all available parental focus. But I'd outgrown that behavior years ago, built a career, learned to distinguish between anxiety and legitimate health concerns. "I'm not making this up," I said quietly. "Nobody said you were making it up," Mom replied with practiced patience. "We're saying it's not urgent. Your headaches can wait until after Ryan's celebration. We've already put deposits down, booked the caterer, sent invitations. The party is in 6 weeks. Surely you can manage your stress levels until then." I stared at them across the dining room table. My parents, who'd raised me to believe family came first, who'd taught me that Ryan's success was our collective success, who'd convinced me that supporting my brother's achievements was more important than addressing my own needs. What they didn't know was that my consulting work had connected me with some of the most respected neurologists and medical imaging specialists in the country. What they didn't know was that Dr. Michael Harrison, the director of neurology at Metropolitan Medical Center, had been trying to recruit me for months to join his hospital's management team. What they didn't know was that I'd already scheduled my own MRI for the following week, using my professional connections to bypass the usual insurance delays. And what they definitely didn't know was that Dr. Harrison had been Dad's biggest client for the past 2 years, providing legal services for the hospital's expansion projects. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Harrison. "MRI scheduled for Tuesday 2 p.m. Priority imaging, full neurological workup. Let me know if you need anything else." I typed back, "Thank you. This stays confidential until I decide how to handle the results." "Of course. Though Sarah, based on your symptom description, I'm concerned this might be urgent." I looked at my parents, still debating centerpiece options for Ryan's party, and made a decision that would change everything. The MRI results came back on a Thursday afternoon. I was sitting in my home office, reviewing a consulting proposal for Johns Hopkins, when Dr. Harrison called personally. "Sarah, I need you to come in immediately. We found a mass." My hands went cold. "What kind of mass?" "A tumor. Left temporal lobe, approximately 4 centimeters. It's pressing against several critical structures, which explains your symptoms. Sarah, this needed treatment months ago." "Is it?" "We won't know if it's malignant until we biopsy, but regardless of pathology, it requires immediate surgical intervention. The location and size. Sarah, you could have had a stroke. You could have died." I sat in my car in the hospital parking lot for 20 minutes after the appointment, trying to process what Dr. Harrison had told me. Emergency surgery scheduled for Monday. A tumor that had likely been growing for 6 months. Treatment that would have been significantly less complex if we'd caught it earlier. I drove home to find my parents in full party planning mode. The living room was covered with fabric samples, menu options, and seating charts. Ryan was coming home that weekend for final planning, and Mom wanted everything perfect. Sarah. Mom called from behind a tower of invitation samples. Perfect timing. We need your opinion on font choices. Ryan likes the script font, but I think serif is more sophisticated. I stood in the doorway, still holding Dr. Harrison's treatment plan, trying to find words. Mom, I got my MRI results. That's nice, honey. Script or serif? I have a brain tumor. The room went quiet except for the sound of Dad's calculator clicking as he tallied catering costs. What kind of tumor? Dad asked without looking up. 4 centimeters. Left temporal lobe. It needs immediate surgery. Mom frowned at her planning materials. Immediate? Sarah, the party is in 10 days. Surely it can wait 2 weeks. I stared at her. Mom, I could die. Don't be dramatic, Dad said firmly. Tumor doesn't necessarily mean cancer. Most brain masses are benign. You'll have the surgery after Ryan's celebration, everything will be fine, and you'll have a nice recovery story to tell at family gatherings. Dad, the surgeon said. Surgeons always make everything sound urgent, he interrupted. It's how they justify their fees. Trust me, I've dealt with medical liability cases. Doctors love to create artificial urgency. I pulled out Dr. Harrison's business card. The surgeon is Dr. Michael Harrison. Your biggest client. Dad's calculator stopped clicking. Mike Harrison? From Metro Medical. Yes. He says the tumor is pressing against critical brain structures. He says waiting another 2 weeks could result in permanent neurological damage or death. There was a long pause. Then Dad said, I'll call Mike and get the real story. He'll give it to me straight client to client. Mom was already back to examining font samples. In the meantime, Sarah, we've used most of your college fund money for the party deposits. If you need surgery, you'll have to figure out payment arrangements with the hospital. My college fund. The money my grandmother had left specifically for my education, which my parents had managed since I turned 18. The money they'd been gradually borrowing from for Ryan's medical school expenses, always promising to pay it back. You used my education fund for Ryan's party? It's an investment in the family's future, Mom explained patiently. Ryan's going to be a doctor. His success elevates all of us. Your college fund helped make that possible. You should be proud. But now I need surgery. And you have health insurance, Dad added. The surgery will be covered. The party expenses weren't covered by anything except family money. I felt something fundamental shift inside me. These people, my parents, were prioritizing a party over my life. They were treating my potentially life-threatening medical condition as an inconvenience to be managed around Ryan's celebration. That evening, Ryan arrived home for his pre-graduation weekend. He swept into the house with his usual confidence, accepting congratulations and praise, reviewing party plans with the enthusiasm of someone accustomed to being celebrated. Sarah. He hugged me with genuine warmth. Mom says you're having some health issues? Stress, headaches. Brain tumor, I corrected. His smile faltered slightly. Tumor? When did you find out? Today. Surgery is Monday. Ryan looked around at the party preparations, then at our parents who were busy arranging flowers. Surgery is Monday? But the party can wait, I said firmly. Sarah, Mom called from across the room, don't spoil your brother's weekend with medical drama. We've been planning this for months. Ryan looked uncomfortable. Maybe we should postpone the party. Absolutely not, Dad said firmly. Sarah's surgery can be rescheduled. Your celebration cannot. The medical school dean is coming, 3 department heads, half the hospital board. This is a networking opportunity that could define your career. I watched my brother's face as he calculated the social and professional costs of prioritizing my medical emergency over his party. I watched him choose. Sarah, would you be okay if we kept the party date? I mean, if the surgery can wait a week. The surgery can't wait a week. But if it could. I looked at my family. My parents who'd spent my inheritance on party decorations, and my brother who was asking me to risk my life for his networking event. No, Ryan. I wouldn't be okay with that. Dr. Harrison had given me his personal cell phone number. I stepped outside and sent him a text. I need to file a formal complaint about medical negligence. And I think this story needs to go public. The story broke on Tuesday morning, the day after my emergency surgery. I woke up in the ICU to see my phone buzzing with notifications. The medical reporter from Channel 7 News had picked up the story first. Local family delays daughter's brain surgery for graduation party. Dr. Harrison was sitting beside my bed, reviewing my post-operative scans. The surgery went perfectly, he said. We removed the entire tumor. Pathology shows it was benign, but Sarah, another week or two could have been catastrophic. How did the media find out? The hospital's ethics board requires public reporting when family members obstruct necessary medical care. It's a patient safety protocol. He paused. Also, your father called the hospital CEO yesterday demanding that your surgery be postponed until next week. That conversation was recorded for quality assurance purposes. I reached for my phone and saw 17 missed calls from my parents, 43 missed calls from local reporters, and a text from my brother. Sarah, this is getting out of hand. The party is ruined. Can you please make this stop? Dr. Harrison handed me his tablet. The story had already been picked up by national health advocacy organizations. The headline on MedWatch read, "When Family Priorities Become Medical Negligence, a Case Study in Patient Rights." The article included quotes from the recorded conversation between my father and the hospital CEO. Dr. Harrison is being unreasonable about the timing, Walsh stated during the recorded call. My daughter's surgery can wait until after my son's graduation celebration. I've been this hospital's legal counsel for 2 years. Surely we can work something out. When informed that delaying treatment could result in permanent brain damage or death, Walsh reportedly responded, "That's not going to happen. Sarah has always been dramatic about medical issues. This is just bad timing." The story also included medical expert opinions about the tumor's progression and the risks associated with delayed treatment. 3 neurologists interviewed for the article stated that postponing surgery would have constituted medical malpractice if they'd been involved in my care. By Wednesday, the story had exploded across social media. #BrainTumorParty was trending on Twitter, with thousands of people sharing their own stories of family medical neglect. Patient advocacy groups were using my case as an example of why patients need legal protection from family interference in medical decisions. Thursday morning brought a knock on my hospital room door. Dr. Patricia Mills, the hospital's chief ethics officer, entered with a serious expression. "Ms. Walsh, I wanted to inform you personally that the hospital board held an emergency meeting last night. Your father's legal services contract has been terminated effective immediately. Because of the media attention? Because his actions demonstrate a fundamental incompatibility with our institutional values regarding patient care and family advocacy." She sat down. "Sarah, we've also been contacted by the state medical board. They're opening an investigation into whether your parents' behavior constitutes criminal medical neglect." My mother appeared in the doorway, looking haggard and defeated. She'd clearly been crying. "Sarah, please. This has gotten completely out of hand. Your father lost his biggest client. Ryan's graduation party had to be cancelled. The medical school dean withdrew his attendance because of the media coverage. Ryan is devastated. How am I doing, Mom? How's my recovery from brain surgery?" She blinked as if the question hadn't occurred to her. You look fine." Dr. Mills stood up. "Mrs. Walsh, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Ms. Walsh needs rest, and visitors need to prioritize her medical needs over external concerns." After Mom left, I checked my phone again. Ryan had posted a statement on his social media accounts. "I want to clarify that I was not involved in delaying my sister's medical treatment. I deeply regret that my graduation celebration became a factor in a serious medical situation. I support Sarah's full recovery and want to publicly apologize for my family's poor judgment." The comments on his post were brutal. Medical school classmates expressing shock and disappointment. Professors questioning his judgment and empathy. Hospital administrators who'd planned to attend his celebration publicly withdrawing their support. 6 months later, I was featured on the cover of the American Medical Association journal. The article, titled "Patient Autonomy in the Face of Family Opposition: A Case for Legal Protection," became one of their most cited publications of the year. The state medical board's investigation resulted in formal charges against my parents for medical neglect and endangerment. They received 2 years of supervised probation and were required to complete courses on patient rights and medical ethics. The criminal record followed them both professionally and socially. My father's law practice never recovered from losing the hospital contract and the associated publicity. He now handles small claims cases and traffic violations from a cramped office above a pizza shop. My mother started attending therapy after the criminal charges were filed, finally acknowledging the pattern of emotional neglect that had characterized my childhood. Ryan completed medical school but struggled to match into his preferred residency program. The ethics controversy followed him through the application process, despite his public apology and attempts to distance himself from our parents' decisions. He eventually matched at a community hospital in rural Montana, a far cry from the prestigious urban program he'd been expecting. I used the media attention and my newfound recognition to launch a patient advocacy consulting firm, helping hospitals develop protocols for protecting patients from family interference in medical decisions. The work combines my medical imaging background with my first-hand experience navigating family medical dynamics. The tumor was indeed benign and my recovery was complete. Dr. Harrison likes to remind me that early intervention made the difference between a simple surgical procedure and potential lifelong neurological complications. Last month, my parents sent a card on the anniversary of my surgery. The front read, "Thinking of you." Inside, Mom had written, "We hope you can forgive us someday. We realize now that we were wrong." I haven't responded. Forgiveness, I've learned, isn't the same as reconciliation. Some family relationships don't survive the revelation of who people really are when faced with genuine crisis. The headaches are gone. My vision is clear. And for the first time in my adult life, my medical decisions belong entirely to me. The family business of prioritizing Ryan's success over my well-being officially closed the day I chose my life over their party.